Good morning, whoever is currently watching. This is kind of the bonus, the pre-stream to day 4 out of 4, live from Computex. On your stream currently, you should be seeing quite an empty convention floor because visitors have not yet trickled in, but we do see one of the benches there and a couple of the judges. I hope you're all doing well. Matt, how are you doing? You're a bit sleep deprived, but are you excited about what's about to happen?
I'm so excited. There's nothing else I'd rather stay up an unprecedented number of hours to watch. Like this is the what Super Bowl, the Olympics, the just well, it's the grand finals of the G.Skill
Thanks so much.
competition.
Yeah.
And I'm very, very excited. We saw some amazing scores go up. What was for me earlier this morning, but for the convention and competition was yesterday. Just the back and forths there at the end was just so crazy to watch, and I can't wait to see that happen again.
Yeah, interesting times just as well because the group of benchers is the same. So it's like, how much did they hold in reserve? How much did they just go all out just to make sure they make the final? And of course, the set of benchmarks are totally different. I think we're allowed to talk about what's been picked now. So, unless someone tells me otherwise, what are your initial thoughts on the list?
Well, we have Super Pi 32M, 7-zip, Geek 3 multi-core. So those are the same, but Y Cruncher Pi 1 billion CL30 1T is just going to be so interesting because I'm not sure how much testing these guys did for CL30 at 1T on these sticks because
None.
usually on
Absolutely none.
DDR5,
I could tell you that straight away.
yeah, yeah. So that's going to be interesting. And then memory frequency valid with dual DIMMs is also going to be really interesting. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, in DDR5, each stick kind of works as dual channel. So is it possible for them to disable a channel on each of the DIMMs to get it down to a lot less demand? And obviously they might use max mem as well.
You're talking about the dual channel memory valid or the Y Cruncher
Yeah.
30C? Sorry, I missed a little bit of that.
No, dual channel memory valid. Is it possible for them to disable like half of the channel on each stick and then do max mem? You think that's going to be the meta, the play for them?
Okay, so that is actually okay. There's a few things going on there. That bench. So the judges picks. Sorry, I'm sort of catching up with all of the list of benchmarks and stuff. The judges picks and G.Skill's picks. They didn't. My understanding is they didn't sit down and collectively pick them. It's like everyone got a pick, kind of. Not every judge, but like we've got the C30 is Hiwa's pick, and the dual channel 24 gigabyte stick max valid, I believe, is Frank from G.Skill's pick, and it's the rules, let's say, are going to be very strict on that. My understanding is, as Loud Silence explained it to me, no disabling of channels allowed whatsoever. So essentially, quad channel, dual stick, 24 gigabyte modules, valid on everything. Does that answer your question?
More or less. What do you think about max mem?
Let me ask a judge. Maximum allowed on valid? Yeah. Okay, cool. I don't know if you caught that, Matt, but yeah, it's allowed.
Okay, so that at least is one thing they can do to try to help themselves and reduce the load on the memory modules. And it's also going to be interesting to see how much time they how much time they spend setting up the OS for something like that, because I don't think you can use maxmem for. Well, I think actually all of these benchmarks you could probably use maxmem to a degree. Obviously, you need a certain memory capacity for Y Cruncher, and I believe 7-zip, but beyond that, you could pretty well maxmem pretty far down.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to understand your your sort of line of reasoning here. Um, it it has gains on DDR5, that's for sure. Sorry, I just had to restart my face cam. But the gains are slight. All right. From my understanding, um, I would hazard a guess that maybe for valid it even does nothing or very little. I've seen
Okay.
I've seen max memmed um, 32Ms with Benchmade certainly. So yeah, it's kind of a mixed bag. And in terms of OS, I just from the practicality of it, I would imagine that you may just choose not to set it just in order to be able to bench through stuff quicker.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm just speculating.
No, that's kind of more or less what I was getting at. Like, how much of an advantage would you get from taking the time to set up max mem, and or would you just like throw caution to the wind and try to do the best you can with the full memory modules? I mean, these are pre-binned, so they should be pretty decent sticks. And I don't know what the variance from IC to IC would be, but that would be definitely an interesting theory, I guess, as to how to get the best performance for each of these stages.
Yeah, certainly. I'm just gonna leave it on this view for a bit. First of all, we don't have systems running because the stage hasn't, or the session hasn't started yet. Um, that's the first thing. Secondly, I'm trying to just get all of my horses in in a row or whatever the expression is, because we're live on an additional channel this morning. So the three platforms we're currently live on are my Twitch, G.Skill official YouTube, and what I've added in is also G.Skill Gaming Twitter. And I see we have a significant view count there. So hello to all of those people. I'm going to confess to not knowing what Twitter live streaming is all about, but as long as the video and the audio is getting through to you guys, then we're at least we're at least achieving part of our goal. Now, whether there's a live chat on Twitter or not, I have absolutely no idea. Someone throw it in one of the other chats if they do know, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Matt, take us through some of the other stages while I do some tech housekeeping here.
Yeah, so Geekbench 3 multi-core is one they ran earlier, and so we're going to be expecting to see some similar results. Yeah. It's definitely going to be... So if we want to go over those, I'll just look at the stages for each of those, or the performance from each of the competitors on that stage from yesterday. And... excuse me. Sens was in first, obviously. He took first in all but one of the stages. Sebi in second, but Biso was actually behind Lumi, and he was behind both of the other competitors by almost 1,000 points. I should say almost 900 points. So he's got a lot of ground to cover there and efficiency to figure out in that particular stage. We've also got, let's see here. Why am I screwing this up? Give me one moment. 7-Zip, another one that we can glean from the competition yesterday. We have Sens, Biso, and Sebi all in the top three, so they're all within spitting distance of each other. In fact, they're all within 7 points of each other, 207 MIPS, as it is expressed with 7-Zip. So that's going to be something that they're all going to have to push really hard on just to eke out a little bit of performance. It's going to be interesting to see what kind of frequencies they set for this and the timings they set, because this is definitely going to have a big every little different tweak is going to have a big impact there. So 7-Zip again, a replay. SuperPie 32M is another repeat. Not a bad thing. Let's go back, and I think we had a little bit bigger of a spread there Yeah, so Sens and Biso were 1 and 2, and they were separated by almost nothing, like 37 milliseconds. So that's virtually nothing. Sebi was unfortunately behind by almost a full second from Biso Biso. So Sebi's hopefully found some efficiency there as well. He's going to have a lot of climbing to do in 32M, but Biso Biso and Sens were within spitting distance. Like if you caught the stream yesterday, you would know like we were watching as Biso Biso laid up his Super Pi score.
Yeah.
Like it was super close. So that was really exciting. Memory frequency valid. Again, we saw that. I think that that's one where everybody probably has a little bit more in the tank. That's the one where I'm thinking, you know what? There's room. I'm pretty sure each one of these guys have room for improvement. This is also the one stage that Sens didn't win yesterday. Sebi took the gold, and actually Black Dot, a little bit of a dark horse, didn't make it through, but he was in second. Sens was in third, and Biso Biso is all the way down in sixth. And the difference is nearly from Biso Biso to Sebi, so sixth to first is nearly 300 megahertz. So I definitely think that there's room left in the tank for each of those competitors. We might even see a frequency world record set this like during this competition, which would be incredible.
Yeah,
And let's see here.
that's a high bar you're setting there, but I believe it is within the realms of possibility. Just a little bit of housekeeping. There's some limitation on my interface here. I can't change the title of the Twitter stream. The title is incorrect. It says day 3. I'll just manually sort of tell you all of you guys it is day 4, final day, grand final day, and the competition is due to start in 7 minutes. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, so those are the repeat stages that we are getting, and then we've got some very unique ones. I'm going to start off with Y Cruncher Pi 1 billion CL30 1T command rate, and this is going to be the one where if you're going to pick a stage where you aren't going to try really hard, I feel like this would be the one. And the only reason I say that is because it's these guys probably, like we were mentioning earlier, have probably done zero testing for this because nobody runs at 1T command rate. Nobody runs at CL30. These guys are used to running gear like 2T command rate and CL32, CL34 to get the higher frequencies. You start dropping frequency quite dramatically once you start lowering the CL by that much, which is the cast latency. What that actually does, I can't rightfully tell you because I'm not quite that smart. Unity might have a little bit more information on that.
Sorry, could you repeat the question?
Oh, just what CL actually does, cast latency does for memory. Obviously, all of us benchers know it's extremely important to get it as tight as possible at a given frequency. But do you know specifically what it does, or is it just one of those things where you're like, "Yep, I need it tight, and that's what I'm going to try to do"?
It's it's a primary timing, right? So that kind of on its own tells you how important it is. And EXA has all the info. Call him Axis Strobe now. I'm not going to pretend to understand what that means. But yeah, it's a primary timing, and other timings hang off of it. I don't know more than that.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And then we've got the final stage, which is actually stage 1. I'm going way out of order here in case you're following along. Memory frequency dual dim, which from what I understand, it doesn't say it in the rules and hardware bot, but it requires two 24 gigabyte sticks, and all channels must be enabled for the valid. So that's going to be very important. I don't know what these kinds of memory modules are capable of. Do you have any clue?
In dual channel, no idea. Does anyone know? That's pretty far out there. Especially with all channels enabled, 2 sticks. Yeah, it's just very wild. But yeah, I would imagine that really drives down your possibility of what you can achieve. You're essentially, I mean, it makes sense, right? Like you're quadrupling uh, the number of channels you're driving. So, I mean, it's sort of like the opposite of binning. Imagine you just binned a channel out of 4 channels. Now you're unbinning 4 channels, if you get me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it basically boils down to you can only go as far as the worst channel is going to let you.
Yeah.
So all of your good channels are being completely dragged down by your worst one. And here's the other thing. It might be, now I don't know how relevant this is going to be because these guys are going to set these timings as loose as humanly possible, I'm sure. But it could be that timings for one channel aren't going to be that would allow it to go higher, aren't going to be happy for another channel, and you're going to have this kind of song and dance. It's like, okay, this channel prefers these timings, this channel prefers these other timings, different gears. I don't know. I know for frequency valid for memory, you definitely try to just loosen everything as loose as possible. Hopefully that still applies to all the channels on all the sticks here.
Yeah, we're really completely uncharted territory here. This is like, okay, let me maybe share a tiny bit of intel. Some or all of the competitors were not happy with the benchmark selection purely because it's so out there. But that's how it works, right? Like you're here, you're competing against the best. You're being asked to do unreasonable things, basically, like just totally crazy things, and you've got to perform. And if you don't, then you don't win $10,000. That's how it works.
Yeah, I mean, this you got to be able to roll with the punches. If anyone should be able to, it's these guys. Some of these are quite out there, so their preparations. When you're preparing for a competition, you're typically trying to figure out what is going to be run in the best performance you can get in those particular situations. The reason they pick these weird ones is because they're trying to get you out of your comfort zone and see if you've become, I don't want to say a one-trick pony, because you got to have a basket full of tricks in order to get through all the stages, but they want to make sure you're not just fine-tuning for one specific group of benchmarks and you can actually work with different parameters. So that's the way I look at it anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be interesting. We're still in the setup phase. A little bit of pouring going on, but just so everyone knows, to the best of my knowledge, that's allowed. You're just not allowed to sort of go into OS, I guess, or there's some limitation as to, like, you can cool down your system before the actual start time of the comp. It's just you can't obviously produce scores at that time.
Yeah.
Makes sense,
Do I
right?
see Sebi? Yeah, do I see Sebi doing a BIOS update right now?
Yeah,
I
he's
think
pretty crazy.
Hey, he gets results though, so I'm hard to question the methods when he gets those results. And we're also missing one competitor. It looks like
Bisso.
Bisso still isn't here.
We saw that yesterday during the last stage, right? Like, he likes to be fashionably late for everything, including subbing scores. So, that's his style.
Yeah, I thought for sure yesterday there was a solid chance he wasn't going to make it through. It wasn't till the end where we were like, holy cow, this guy's just pulling stuff out of a hat. So it's going to be interesting to see how each of these guys perform. And it was a tight race between him and Sebi for second there for a while. Sebi ultimately pulled it out, but it was very, very close. If I'm going to go look at the scores here really quick, the point spread was 3 points. So that is the difference between first and second in one of the stages. So very, very close between Bisso and Sebi. Sens was out there a bit at 295. He took gold in all but one of the stages. But it's a different day, man. Everything can change.
Yeah, so gonna say hi to a few people. We've got Andrew, aka Dr. Weeze _OC, in the chat. Welcome. He's asking when the start of the session is, so it's supposed to be a minute ago. I don't believe we're actually there yet. Um, what else is going on? We've got Ginger Nuts, who's sneaking off from his job to wash. That's great. I put out a post this morning on my Insta and Facebook where I um, attempted to provide this time zones for most people, but it is challenging. Let me see if I can pull it up. So, how many? Something just happened. I don't know what. Probably on Insta, it's probably the best. Just trying to find that. My own profile. Okay, so now let's go here. That worked. That's always good. Um, so this is the post I put up this morning, and I included like the cash prize and the time zones and stuff. So yeah, 9:30 Taiwan Standard Time, 21:30 Eastern Standard Time, 3:30 Central European Time. Those people have it really, really rough. 11:30 Australian Eastern Time, and 1:30 UTC. Who did I miss, Matt? Tell me.
I don't know.
The Russians, right? Like what's it? What is this in Moscow time? I don't know. It's like a little bit closer to us, so it's gonna be like 5:30 maybe, something like that in the morning.
What time is it in Moscow? Let's check. Sorry about the clicky keyboard, guys. It is 4:33 a.m. That's that's when my alarm goes off.
I was off by 1 hour, so not so bad.
That's pretty good, yeah. Yeah, this is gonna be. It's definitely gonna be interesting today. Just can't wait for these guys to get started. And we're kind of biding our time, but if you watched the stream yesterday, you guys kind of know how exciting this can get. And okay, let's make some predictions here. Who do you have to win it?
Oh, who do I have to win it? Can you ask me an easier question, please?
Who do you have to take second and third?
That's the same question, Matt. That's cheating.
Let's see here. Okay, who do you have to take? Let's go with Super Pi 32M, since that's your favorite benchmark. Who do you think is going to take that?
32M. I mean, it was Sen's last time, right?
Yes, but only by 40 milliseconds.
Biso. Who do you have?
I was going to say Biso.
I beat you to it.
I know. Good thing we're not betting beers again, because I would definitely be.
Well,
you
already owe me the entire world's supply of beer, so betting more beer doesn't really make a difference anymore.
That's true. That's so true. Maybe I'll get you some of that liquor that Yas got us when we benched it here in the States.
I think the fact that I didn't touch it should indicate to you that it was pretty low quality stuff.
No, the bigger indicator is that there's still the same amount of liquor in that bottle as when you left.
Wow.
Still
okay.
in it. I haven't touched it. It's still on my shelf. It was so bad. All right.
Sorry, I'm trying to fix my face cam, and would you mind? I'm sort of running out of desktop space, so would you mind just keeping an eye on the competitor, so when the action starts, just say yeah, go, and I'll try and patch in their desktops.
Yeah, I'll definitely keep you in the loop, and yeah.
Okay, so face cam is back. Let's see how long it stays alive. Just looking at the video feed myself, no Biso, nothing on Sen's screen, Sebi and Bias, so nothing really happening, right?
Yeah, it definitely seems like. Well, here's the thing, though. Has the competition officially started since Sebi? I mean, we haven't seen him in OS, so he hasn't run any benchmarks. But he's pouring liquid nitrogen. He's doing some BIOS settings. Has it started? And Biso is literally just so confident. He's just eating breakfast somewhere and taking his time.
Good question. My take on it would be that the judges are holding the start time until every competitor is here, but obviously there's a limit to that. Eventually, you know, I'm just spitballing here, but I would imagine that they're doing their best to try to contact him. They'll give him, 15 minutes, let's say, but at a certain point, they'll first start the comp without him, and then maybe if he becomes so late that it's just not practical anymore to even include him, they may DQ him. I don't want to go there. I really hope he turns up, but I'm just saying those are probably the stages that will happen if he doesn't show up.
Yeah, that reminds me of when I was in college. I don't know if if college is the same over where you're from, but for some reason they always change the times for the finals for your exams from when your actual typical class schedule is, and I didn't know that. So I showed up early, what I thought was early, to my class to get some studying done, and everyone was in the middle of the finals. And my professor looks at me with this completely befuddled look, and he's like, I guess I'll let you take the final. You showed up. But I was so embarrassed, and I feel like that's what Bisso's doing right now.
Right. Talking about breakfast, since we're waiting on Bisso, I may just mute myself for a short while. I have a small breakfast in front of me that I would like to eat in order to keep my energy levels up. But you've got the floor for a little while. I'll just mute myself, but I'm still listening in.
Sounds good. Yeah, something I wanted to point out, and if you guys are in hardware bot, I don't have control over the stream, but if you guys are in hardware bot, it's actually interesting if you go to yesterday's competitions and look at the excuse me, look at like the SuperPi 32M stages, and this is just an example of how important memory is in overclocking. So I'm going to go to Senz's score, and if you guys pull this up, for the Core Ultra 285K, there's only 14 people that have submitted SuperPi 32M for this particular CPU. But what I want to point out is he's in second place, and many of the competitors are in. So all the competitors, actually, we've got second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh place. All were scores set during the competition, and are all clock limited to 6 gigahertz. And all of them are, and this is no dig at Fugar or whatever his name is, but he was running at 6.6 gigahertz and is behind all of these guys in performance in 32M. So if you think about it, memory can make up to, or more than, or I should say, overcome more than a 10% core speed deficit in something like 32M. So that's actually a really good indicator, in my opinion, of how much difference memory makes. So just keep that in mind, guys. This G.Skill, there's a reason memory overclocking is so big, and it's G.Skill's been very generous to put this on for us. It's a really, really great opportunity. The overclocking community is really, really grateful, and this is just an indicator of the amount of performance difference you can get. Memory can make up to a 10% performance difference. This is obviously a benchmark, not necessarily what you would see in real world applications, but there are definitely gains to be had for memory in many, many applications. And I assume even in gaming, if you're somebody that's into gaming, there's advantages to having very fast memory. And G.Skill does create some of the best memory. There's a reason a lot of the people that use G.Skill or that overclock memory use G.Skill. And for example, my best, when I'm running DDR4, my best sticks are all G.Skill. And this is not me being a fanboy. I'm not getting anything from G.Skill out of this. They genuinely make a very good product, and they are very generous to the overclocking community to be putting this on. So big thanks to them. If you guys are looking for memory, I would highly recommend supporting them because this is the only live overclocking competition in the world, and it's all thanks to them.
All right. Whatever baked good somebody gave me has been consumed. I have no idea what was in it, but hopefully it's not toxic in any way. That would be a bit of a shame. I want to see the end of this comp. Uh, we're seeing bio screens. I feel like we're going in the direction of the comp starting. But I have to point out we're still missing one competitor.
Yeah, I really, I really want him to show up and pop up any second now because he came out of nowhere yesterday. You guys, if you were here, you saw it. Just absolutely destroyed from behind, and I would really be disappointed if he didn't show up because as much as I want, it would be fun to see just two horse race. I mean, there's going to be a lot more tension if you have three guys in the competition. So I don't know. What do you think the competitors? How do you feel? I mean, if I was a competitor, though, it'd be kind of nice to have 50% less competition. So from their standpoint, they're probably like, oh, maybe he isn't going to show up.
Yeah, strange. It's a little bit like Formula One, right? People on stream are probably sick of our Formula One analogies, but there's like everyone on the grid is friends with everyone else pretty much. They compete hard, but at the end of the day, when someone has a crash, everyone is worried for them, and everyone wants them to be okay. And obviously, the risks overclockers take are not as high as that, but it's kind of similar. I think everyone on a human level feels for everyone else, but then there's like a different level, which is the competition. Yeah, so I sort of appreciate that there's a lot of new people in watching the stream. Maybe to just go through the nuts and bolts of things a little bit. We're about to start the final round of the G.Skill OC World Cup 2025 live from Computex in Taipei, Taiwan. My name is Unity OC. I am on site in a beautiful white meeting room right here with my streaming setup in front of me. And Mr. Tech Tested, why don't you just introduce yourself? Oh, I'm a bencher and a streamer. Well, Matt, what do you do for a living? Not benching, but no, I didn't mean to ask you your occupation, but what do you do for fun? It's benching, right, and streaming.
Yeah, I do. My name is Matt. Run a defunct, more or less, YouTube channel called Tech Tested. And I got into extreme overclocking about, what, 3 years ago now? No, about 4 years ago. And I've been doing it ever since. And about 2 years ago, I think now, we started this overclocking show that we do monthly. And Unity is the co-host of that show. And yeah, I'm basically, since I'm not all that good at benching, I just like to talk about it. So it gets me into the community without having to be the top tier kind of guy. So that's who I am. And yeah, I was supposed to be in Taiwan. Life events got in the way, but Unity has been generous enough to take the reins, get the whole stream thing set up, and patch me in so I can do this remotely from literally across the world.
Yeah, and it's very sort of opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of time zone. We briefly mentioned it earlier, but Taiwan Standard Time, it is now 9:45 a.m. and for you it's literally 12 hours, right? It's 9:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the US, right?
Yes, it is. So this is definitely, it's going to be going into the wee hours of the evening for me, but I'm here for it. These guys, this is what gets me amped, man. I love this kind of stuff. And I didn't get to see the live qualifiers last year because they didn't stream it. And the opportunity to actually see this go live is so cool. Hopefully next year I can actually be there on site and watching or streaming with you doing this. But I'm just so thrilled to be able to watch this in real time and see how these competitors do this.
Sure. Yeah, a lot going on. I've got 3 screens in front of me, and I'm trying to sort of manage a lot of different things. So what's happening now is my camera in front of my face is very choppy. So I'm trying to sort of debug that. For the benefit of people sort of who haven't watched the rest of, oh, here we go, the camera's back. For how long? Let's see. For the benefit of people who haven't followed along the online well, let's start out like this. This competition has been going on for months. There are three main parts to it, three main components. There was a fully open online qualifier. 67 benchers participated in that. The top 9 were invited to Taiwan. The top 9 competed the last 3 days in the so-called live qualifier, which was the second component of this 3-component competition. That live qualifier has concluded. It concluded, whatever it is, 12 hours ago or so. That qualifier, that live qualifier, resulted in the 3 benchers. Is that Bisso? Somebody just joined. He's in the very far background, but I feel like I see a new person. Anyway, I'll introduce them in a minute. But that resulted in 3 benchers making it to the so-called grand final. The grand final is today. It's only one day. The online qualifier went for over a month. The live qualifier was spread over 3 days. For those who don't know, Computex is a trade show in Taiwan. It happens every year. It's got 4 main sort of exhibition days that the public can attend. G.Skill and Intel, the co-sponsors of this competition, they use those 4 days fully to spread out all of the parts of this competition over the 4 days, which means that the live qualifier took up the first 3 days. We're now on day 4. We're down from 9 to 3 competitors. Those 3 competitors will start overclocking very, very shortly. And this is it. It's all happening today. There's only one day. There's only one session. Okay.
I think we've actually started. So Sebi is running a benchmark. So
okay,
I think the competition has officially started. Bisso is, as far as I can tell, nowhere to be found, which is such a tragedy. But we can see what if you want, we can move over to his screen and see what he's doing.
Let's go. Here we go. Further camera problems, but you know what? Considering all of the moving pieces on this stream, if one thing is going to fail, the least important thing is the view of my face, because everyone knows what I look like by now. Just on your own screens, just print out a picture of my face and paste it there, and you'll know what I look like. So just imagine that part. We have everything else. We have the 3 competitors' rigs. We have the stage cam. We have my microphone. We have Matt's microphone. We have my browser if we need it. So I think, whatever it is, 9 out of 10 things are working, so I'm happy. I'm just... the noise level in my booth is slowly rising, so I'm just going to stand up for a minute to close my door. I'll still be able to hear you because I have a very long lead on my headphone. But just for a minute, take over, please, Matt.
Yeah, so I'm looking at this, and Sebi is actually not benching a benchmark for the competition. He just ran Y Cruncher Pi 1 billion, and my first clue is that it only took him 26 seconds, whereas Sens's 2.5 billion took 73 seconds yesterday. So I was like, whoa, that's a crazy score. But no, it's just Y Cruncher Pi 1 billion. Is that what the new stage is? Oh, he's doing the Y Cruncher Pi 1 billion CL30. Okay, so this is one of the funky ones. So this is actually for the competition. I'm wrong. And
yep, we're
so
underway.
he's going on one of the harder stages really early. I'm wondering what the thought process here is. Maybe he's putting up a filler score, because in my mind, what I would do is I would probably knock out the ones I'm familiar with and then work on the ones I'm not as familiar with. But maybe that's a poor way to look at it. Also, he just crashed, so you can tell he was changing timings in operating system, and that caused a crash. He did something that caused dramatic instability. So he's going. What do you think the thought process is with going with the harder stage first?
Man, that's such a tough call. maybe worth pointing out as well that we have a single session for the grand final, so it's an extended session. Let me try to remember how long it's going to be. Okay, bad at math, but I believe the judge told me it was going to be 9:30 to 2:30, so that is 5 hours.
Holy cow!
Which
That
makes
was,
yeah, yeah. So if you can't stick around for all of it, obviously that's totally understood. Yeah, it's 5 hours because I mean the math kind of works out the same, right? Because we had 3 hour sessions in order to like partially do 4 benchmarks in the live qualifier. Now we have a 5 hour session to do 6 benchmarks. Like roughly, that's still the same amount per benchmark, right?
roughly, and we actually have Bisso Bisso. He has shown up, so we have all
Biso,
three
take my
participants
energy,
here.
please.
Everyone is here, so that's awesome. We've got all three competitors. I'm super super excited. I'm very curious what people are going to be putting up in this Y Cruncher stage, and this is kind of going to be interesting to see everyone's individual strategy. I'm sure it's not going to be the same across all benchers because so we're going to see different scores pull in for different benchers. Sebi's already posted that 26-second 284 for the Y Cruncher Pi 1 billion. Well, it's going to be probably an hour or two before we see multiple people post scores within the same stages, I would guess. I could be wrong, but that would be my assumption.
Yeah, so I'm currently trying to work out, again, bad at math, right? If I want to drop my resolution on the face cam to something lower than 720p, what is the next highest 16:10 aspect ratio resolution I can pick? I'm really struggling here. 576p, right? I think that's 16:10.
It might be.
You know how I know this? This is like just ridiculous. I know 576p is 16:10 because it's a Catzilla preset.
Oh, somebody benches Catzilla?
It was a Country Cup stage a couple of times in the last few years.
Ah. Yeah, this is going to be intense. Yi in chat over on Twitch says, I bench Catzilla plenty. Yi would be one of the guys that benches Catzilla quite a bit. He's one of the guys going for hardware masters. So for people that aren't familiar with extreme overclocking, that is where you get the most points total. So every submission nets you a certain number of points. And this is one of those things where he's not going for max points in a specific piece of hardware. He's going for submitting the most benchmarks over the largest quantity of hardware. So he would definitely be one of the guys going for some Cadzilla points.
I would suggest that we're still sort of in the very beginning stages of this 5 hour session. I'm not seeing any runs being completed. There's Sens is okay. Let's do it like this. Let's introduce the people on stage for those who don't know. Person biggest on the camera in the foreground with a hat, the lanyard, the shorts, currently working on a rig that's in OS. That is Sens, CENS. Person behind him with a lot of hair, Hiwa, one of the judges. Person currently moving around with a lanyard and glasses, another judge, young pro. Person with the yellow shirt who was briefly in frame, Frank from G.Skill, who is basically behind all of this. Then in sort of the middle of the frame, also with glasses, a lot of people with glasses for some reason, in the white sneakers and the jeans, kind of moving around, still working on his rig, that is Sebi, S-E-B-Y. Then we have Hiwa blocking the view a little bit, but kind of in front of him with the slightly graying hair and crouched down in front of a laptop is the head judge, Mr. Liekhoeft. As you can see as well, depending on what shirts people are wearing, everyone in the black shirts with the name on the back, those are judges. We have 4 total judges: Hiwa, Young Pro, League and Loud Silence. Loud Silence you can just about make out in the very far background. The reason he's kind of not as engaged today is because the other half of the stage, so the left part of the picture as you're looking at it on stream, is actually not part of the competition. So roughly half of the stage, so the right hand part of the stage, is for the competition, and the left hand side is another part of the G.Skill booth, which is the so-called world record stage. The way that that's organized is each major motherboard manufacturer gets a day to showcase some world records. So we've already had a Zeus, MSI, and Gigabyte days. It is currently ASRock Day on the world record stage, and Loud Silence is a bencher who is at least somewhat associated with ASRock, so he's kind of helping out over there. But if the going gets tough in terms of judging the competition, he'll come over and he'll help the other three guys. Last but certainly not least, also in a hat, in a kind of salmon-colored top, behind League is our main man, Mr. Biso Biso. So that's all the judges and all the competitors. Should we look at runs? Matt, your choice. Where do we want to go? I believe Biso is still setting up, so do you want to see Sens or Sebi?
I'm going to go with Sebi because it seems like he's currently running something, and I'm wondering if he's
Your
sticking
wish
with
is
the
my
live
command. Here we
control.
go, Sebi. Blue screen. Okay, now we've got to go to Zen's because it's going to take some time to come back up again. What's going on here? I'm still doing a little bit of futzing around with my cameras and stuff. Did we spot what Sens was attempting there? Was it 1B again?
I am actually seeing, it looks like he might be going for 7-zip. He's restarting now.
Right, Sebi's back. Let's see what he's up to.
Yeah, I've got a little bit of latency here, so if I'm behind, that's why.
Another blue screen. Okay, Sens is back. Let's go to him.
Yeah, so it looks like he's going for Super Pi 32M. This is one of those stages. He got a blue screen. Man, this is...
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
Let's see here. This will be interesting. I want to see where they fall in line as far as their previous scores. So he's running 32M. Now, what he's going to do for people that, yeah, you see him cancel the benchmark there. Now he's trying 7-zip. It looks like he's just getting a read for how his system is running. So you saw him cancel Super Pi 32M. He's like, okay, either he said, I'm happy with this performance, but I'm not going to focus too much on this, or he said, this is not good performance for 32M. I'm canceling the run and not wasting my time during this boot on 32M. 7-zip doesn't give you a ton of feedback while you're running it, so he's now running through that benchmark and he didn't cancel it. I'm guessing that's not necessarily because it was, well, and he's saving the score, so it wasn't because it was a bad result. It wasn't because he was just pre-testing. It looks like he's actually trying to get a full run in.
Right, he's arranging his windows. I believe he's actually gonna save this score, right?
Yeah, he's arranging the windows and looking at his previous score. This beats his previous score, which was the gold for competition yesterday. So he is definitely... It looks like he either figured something out overnight or he had left some in the tank and he knew it, and he's pulling out all the stops now.
Well, yeah, sorry, I'm doing some stream management. I am listening to you, and I'll come in when I can come in. But yeah, I'm pretty busy at the moment.
All right, I'll try to keep it occupied. And so, yep, he's rerunning. And for the viewers that aren't that familiar with benchmarking, there is a run-to-run variance in a benchmark. So rerunning it multiple times sometimes can yield you better results. That's going to change for different benchmarks. I know that, for example, what is it? 3D Mark 01, obviously you definitely want to do your first run. It's almost always going to be better. Same thing with Aquamark. Those are both 3D benches. And as you saw here, he got a lower score there, so he didn't save the score. He's looking for something above 8,000 or 83,500. That was roughly the score he had before. So he's rerunning multiple times in order to try and produce a run-to-run variant that is slightly higher than his previous best. But as it goes now, he has the gold for this, and this is because he took the gold yesterday. This is going to be an uphill battle for the other competitors to take down. I did not catch that score that just popped up, but hopefully we can see what the next one is. It's definitely this is a lot more along the lines of the strategy I would have taken. Get the stuff I already have, especially if you're Sens, because he was so strong yesterday. Getting those early scores out where you know the settings that are going to work and yield amazing scores, get those out of the way. Give the other guys something they have to focus on beating, and then focus. Then that gives you the time to focus on the other stages. So the other risk you take in this situation is because you're running the memory so hard, it's actually not difficult to bork your operating system, like completely screw it up. So if it's very smart to try and take your score off the computer and submit it prior to another crash, because if you ruin your operating system, you could actually corrupt the files in your score. I believe this is Sebi's screen now, and he's continuing to run the hard Y cruncher. This actually seems to me like these guys' strategies are complementing each other. Sebi's giving Sens a score that he has to focus on beating later, and Sens is giving Sebi something that he's going to have to focus on beating later. So them not actually running the same benchmarks at the same time is going to help each other out, I think. I don't know if you have any thoughts, if you're able to jump in Unity on that.
In the absence of me having my own opinion on that, because my brain is currently working on other things, I believe what you're saying is correct. Maybe just to mention, I believe we've just gone live on the Scatterbencher YouTube. So Scatterbencher is, he used to go by the name of Massman. So he used to actually be kind of the person who ran HWBot, which for those who don't know, HWBot is the overarching ranking site that extreme overclocking or just competitive overclocking in general uses. He's moved on to other things, and one of the things that he does is a benching YouTube called Scatterbencher. I'd recommend to check it out. Some interesting videos on there, and I believe we have those fine folks joining us right now too. I'll maybe just mention one last time, for those who are on X, aka Twitter, the title is wrong. We're on day 4, which is 4 out of 4, the grand final day. I just don't have the capability of changing the title on Twitter. But welcome to all of you. Back to you, Matt.
Yeah, so it looks like Sebi got run for Y Cruncher in that he's happy with, and now he's restarting. And it looked like he was just throwing up a test run for 7-zip and canceled that, and he's definitely rebooting for a specific reason. There are some things you can change in OS, but yeah, this is exactly what I was talking about. Sen's posting up his scores that he's familiar with. Let's compare that particular score with his. So what did we say that was? That was 53,000, I believe, for Geekbench, and that's above his current record for yesterday. So yeah, this seems to be him just rolling through the benchmarks, posting up really hard scores that Bisso and Sebi are going to have to try and overcome, and then he'll focus on the hard stuff, and he can spend more time because he's got all these settings set up. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Hopefully Bisso can get up and running here soon, and we can get some.
Yeah, nothing happening there, sadly. But it is a 5-hour session, and he can catch up, and he has demonstrated the ability that he can catch up. his ample ability to catch up actually yesterday. I'm just a little bit curious as to what's going on with Sens. He took a while to save that from first appearances. Quite good Geekbench 3 score. 53k is certainly very good. Just don't know if he had some queries for the judges or what was going on there, but he's now onto his next run, so let's watch that.
Yeah, and it does seem like these guys are opting to do effectively an off-screen render for Geekbench, which I never would have thought would have... Oh, wait, no, it's showing up the bar there. I was wrong. I was going to say, I thought that they were doing off-screen render, and there is no rendering for Geekbench, so... the progress bar doesn't actually give you a very good indicator of what's going on in Geekbench, so unlike SuperPie, we were talking about this yesterday, unlike SuperPie and some other benches, you can cancel it in order to, if you're getting a bad run. Wow, 53.3. That's huge.
Yep.
Okay, that is so huge. That is significantly... He was at 52.9, so that's 400 plus points, 404 points higher than he was yesterday. And that is almost the difference between him and Sebi from yesterday. So definitely a very strong showing.
Yeah, we've got Zust or Zust, I can never remember how to pronounce that username in chat, who's pointing out that 53.3 is a very good score. And then also, I didn't catch it, but I'm going to take Zust's word for it. Apparently an 84k 7-zip. So yeah, ooh, what's going on with this output? You may have delay, but you see how his background is flashing? Never seen that before. That's crazy. I don't know how to interpret that. And it's not a stream artifact or anything. If I go to the camera, the same thing is happening. Whoops. Anyway, let's check in on Sebi then. Oh, Biso's still down. Okay, let's stick with stage cam. Exa says, I think Sebi will take both main valid stages, but Sens will take some of the perf benches. Yeah, I think that's a solid prediction. Screen flashing issue has been resolved as far as I can tell. I don't know if that was a reboot or a wiggle of the connector or something. Yeah, let's see what he does now. All right. Okay, so relaunch is happening, and a lot of smoke is moving around on the stage. Maybe let's just go to that. So we have Biso still... Okay. Biso's still working some stuff out. We have Sens pouring. We have Sebi looking a little bit pensive. So we'll go to Sens because he's 53.4 almost. Okay. A lot to take in here. A lot to take in. So this score is getting saved because it is an improvement over what was there before. Interesting stuff going on, that's for sure. So he is opting the harbor info route. Maybe for those who are not familiar, this competition has some limits on clocks, and some of those clocks, I'll try to keep it as generic as possible so it's not too technical. Some of those clocks, there's no effective monitoring in OS other than hardware info. I think it's called, aren't they called the NGU? One of these days I'm going to get it right. NGU, D2D, which is something like Infinity Fabric, which is a new thing that Intel introduced for Arrow Lake. And when this competition was jointly designed by the judges and HardwareBot, the HardwareBot judges and G.Skill, they decided they would implement a clock limit for this clock, and therefore, in order for your screenshot to be complete, or in order for your score to be valid, let's say, you have to either show that clock up on boot, and then every score produced post boot is valid, or just take a little bit of extra time and open up the hardware info window and include it in your screenshot. Those are the two options. Right, so Sen's still chilling a bit, like just messing around a little bit. He's gonna rerun, so we'll bring you that.
Yeah, I'm getting quite a bit of latency, so I'm not going to be able to keep up with you as well as I'd like. But yeah, he definitely posted up a good score. I'm going to keep an eye on HardwareBot to see when it gets subbed. So yeah, Sen's posted... Oh, we've got 4 subs in now. Stage 1 has Sebi at 5200 for memory frequency with dual DIMM. And Sen's has stage 3, which is Geekbench 3 multi-core. We saw that it's only his 53,070, so he has a better score theoretically to post up. And he also put up a 7-zip score of 83.